Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Jesse Jackson III. I'm the best-selling author and facilitator of the Don't Kick 'Em Out book and training series and the best-selling author of Closing the Leadership Gap, 15 real-life school leadership lessons that they don't teach you and you don't learn, and typically till you've been fired or the damage is done. Greetings to all my school leaders. I'm really excited. First, we had a phenomenal school year this year, the best year of my career. We helped more people than we ever have, from California to Washington, Nevada, Arizona, Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, Illinois, Missouri, Michigan, New York, New Jersey, West Virginia. If I'm leading Tennessee, we had our best year. We had our most productive year. We had a year where we were able to see our schools go through the culture process, what we believe, how we behave. And if I put organizational culture another way, it would be the maturing of an organization. It would be helping the organization to grow. I think I'm most proud of the growth that I've seen in my school leaders. I can think of 3 people right now. One of my principals of the year of their district in Louisiana, another one who will receive that honor in their district. One of my dear colleagues who achieved Blue Ribbon in New York. The thing that makes me most gratified, and when I extend my coaching program to school leaders, it happened organically. The relationships got developed after school leaders reached out for training for their staff. Well, in our partnerships and the process of our relationships, they found value in the advice. The thing that I pride myself on is being a trusted advisor, being a person who does not give bad advice, does not give controversial advice. I don't advise you to take chances. We always calculate it. You got to know what to do. And I probably have 8 people up for principal of the year. It hasn't been decided yet, but that's what I'm proud of. And I've been at this on my own for 17 years in business here with BMC, partnering with BMC. And I'm just proud of that. As we go into this next school year, the thing that I know is the great challenge around the nation, we are having a historic amount of first-time principals. That's going to mean a historic amount of assistant principals. There is a historic amount of people taking their first superintendent job. I like to always say that a person's in a rookie class for 3 years, right? So if you take a new job, it doesn't matter how long you've been around. If you take a new job, you're operating in the rookie way. And what does that mean? The rookie way, it is some very detailed learning that must take place in those environments before you make serious decisions. One thing that is lacking in our business is the training component. Now, our business is starting to go away from training. They have a misconception of what training is. The evidence of this is there's very limited PD days. Used to be 40 years ago, I mean, you had 6 PD days. We all knew them. We looked forward to them. We were going to have a big time training where we knew we were going to get something we need to be doing. Well, what took over time, those districts and companies were not getting the return on investment. They were getting a lot of information, thought they were boring. The people didn't like them. People checked out. People brought their computers to do work while they were at the training because they saw it as a waste of time. So what has to come back to our business is the return of training. Training is how you do the job. It is development. It is maturity. One thing that you will not learn about me in your research and Googling and going to the website is you will not fully know of my successes. I've had too many successes to name in 17 years. I've been to 27 plus states, groundbreaking stuff, like one of the first outside guys they have ever brought. You know, I can remember South Dakota. I can remember when I first went to West Virginia. I can remember when I first went to Washington, Seattle, Washington area. I can remember first going to California years ago. I can remember first going to Arkansas years ago. I'm from Detroit, and I live multiple places, kind of located in the Southwest and on the West Coast. And what we have continued to understand is that school leaders need guidance. You become who you listen to. And I have seen and having personally coached 18 principals of the year, right? Either of their district or of their state. I begin to learn what that job requires, what those people need to be hearing. What have I seen over this time? This is how I was able to write this book, Closing the Leadership Gap. And I say 15 real life lessons, that they don't teach it till the damage is done. I've seen a lot of people really ruin their careers, making some really bad calls, being misinformed, misguided, pride, their own arrogance, and they really not understanding how the principal job goes. The principal job is a 4-pillar process. You're talking about one piece of the pie is student and parents. So you got to know how to manage your students and parents. If you don't, it can put you in very bad place. 2, you got to learn how to do paperwork. A lot of folks are not good at paperwork. They can't pass audits. They don't do their deadlines. Then you have number 3, workplace issues, right? During COVID, we really got exposed in that area because they're thinking still like a teacher. You can't do that. And a lot of times, and then the 4th, and what I believe is sometimes the most important pillar, it's academic services, meaning the kids have to learn something. So a lot of times when we have a lot of changeover in leadership, a lot of new principals, typically they bring the skill set that they had prior to. Typically that's going to be an assistant principal, and there's different levels of principal. You're talking about a rural principal. You're talking about an inner city principal. You're talking about a suburban principal. You're talking about a charter school school leader. These are different approaches. So the thing that I have really prided myself on, and I'm very proud of, is that we've been able, due to our experience, due to the seasoning that I have gotten over the course. I first started my career in 1996, my first job in education as soon as I left college, first job in education in 1996. So I'm headed towards 30 years. The thing is, what I did is I gleaned a lot from my experiences. I was always a student. I took notes along the way. I learned how the job worked. I understand how the teacher's job really works. I understand the importance of the teacher. And one thing that is key that we can never lose sight of is the principal is a support system and a coach to its teachers. Central office is designed to be a support system to its principals. A lot of times it's not as smooth. And there's been a really bumpy relationship between central office sometime and building leaders. There's an assumption that people are supposed to know what to do. And that's just absolutely not the truth. There must be, and I always ask, who trained you? I have a principal friend of mine who really struggled last year. Well, they'd never been a principal before. So I kept asking, who trained you? Well, they kind of said, well, I had this job, and I was an administrator in the building. But I said, well, who trained you? And so what they're doing is they are running the principalship from the philosophy of the teacher's chair. And there's different skills. For example, to typically be promoted to AP really means you were a good classroom instructor, an elite level teacher. Well, those jobs are 2 different skill sets. Typically, to be promoted to principal typically means you were one awesome AP. I like to call it a bulldog AP. That's the AP that really took care of their principal, really understood how to be a great assistant. But those are 2 different disciplines. See, so if a principal is still running in the AP mindset, you're going to lose big time. You've got no chance to be successful, because what you're going to be, for example, what's a good way to explain that? Being an AP's job is to take care of the staff, right? They are a liaison for the staff. That AP is there for the staff, period. That's just how it works. A principal is there for the entire organization. It has to answer to its bosses and its school board. It has to take care of those students and parents. It's got to take care of its teachers. It sees the whole pie. So that means it's like you become an overseer. You become one that knows how to manage adults, how to manage the community, how to manage your central office and work together. That is the discipline that the principalship really, has to exude. That's training people. So what'll happen is we'll have a district that sends people to leadership institutes and things like that. Well, what those things teach us is about policy, right? Policy. They teach us about here's the law, here's this rule, here's that rule. But where a lot of principals really struggle is in process, approach. That is something that requires seasoning. That is something that requires expertise. And so what our school principal Success Institute really has been about, it has been about helping principals to develop effective visions for their campus, how to properly partner with your central office. I've had some principals that got outed because they didn't know how to work with their central office, built very bad rapport with that central office and really made a lot of enemies and became they're not easy to work with and it was easy to move them, right? How does a principal build their career? How does a principal learn how to understand economics of a school? You can't be a principal, say, I don't do the budget, I kind of leave it to this person. Well, that's how bad things happen. How do you have decisive leadership skills? How do you make sure you take care of your teachers? A principal does not ever create an environment where it's the teachers against administration. And a lot of times when you come in, you don't know that. Like someone has to tell you, has to show you things. And so I live off my reputation. I live off my results. I live off of my experience and I've had so many more wins than losses because there's things I have learned that absolutely did not work. There are things that absolutely, I know if you take this approach, you're going to get in some really serious trouble starting your journey as a principal. So this is what the Institute is about. It's a year-long program. What we do is we get people in over the summer, orientate them, and month by month, we're always produce specific principal leadership content where a person can really maintain their own education, maintain their own training. For example, last year, I had a great young administrator start an AP role. The person is an academic expert. Teaching and learning curriculum is her thing, knows absolutely zero about discipline. And that particular principal needed the person to have that tool. Well, it creates problems between you and your new boss, see? So these are things that we really work hard with people, work hard with school leaders to be able to understand. One thing that you get with this program, you get access to me. You can always call me. Well, here's the deal. I'm checking on you. A lot of times in our business, we don't want to call and ask for help. We'll sit there and fail. Well, one thing, when you get in my program, you can expect a call, a text from Dr. Jackson every single month, as much as you need. We always check on our folks, and a lot of times I make visits to check on my people. This program is just 1,000% about principal development. This is something that every district has to have. And even if you have an aspiring leader program, even if your principals are in a leadership association of your state, what we're finding out is that does not cover the things that get principals beat. For example, how to manage trauma. The average principal does not know how to manage the trauma of its community. It does not know how to manage the trauma of its adults. Most people, I meet principals that are too engaged in staff's personal problems or too adult intolerant. Get in here, do your job, get on out of here. I believe both are necessary, but you have to learn how to do it appropriately or you'll put yourself in a really horrible spot. That's what this institute is about. It is a a year-long coaching program that starts over the summer, and it just allows that dialogue. It allows some of the best training content that you can get. It's stuff that we're not getting in these trainings, and it's one-to-one. That's the most beautiful thing. It's one-to-one, right? It's you're getting one-to-one guidance and advice from somebody who has been in the game, who's been in the seat, that has the seasoning and has an international worldview of what the principal seat looks like, the superintendent seat looks like, what promotion looks like, has coached principals of the year. And it is about the dynamics of the job. It's not the policies and procedures of the job. It's the dynamics of the job that you have to learn how to do. And that is a missing component in our training. This is why I extend this. This year, we'll be able to extend this to just about under 50 principals. Last year, we had 22 in it, I believe, 22, probably a little higher, closer to 25, 22 in it. And once again, how did these relationships develop? These are people who invited me to do training for their staff, and then they end up seeking out individually because they need support and guidance themselves. The principal job is the hardest job in middle management, bar none. That means you have got to learn. You have got to get the guidance and advice that'll help you be successful, protect yourself, protect your career. And once again, we do not advise you ever to go against your boss. That never happens. We totally support what the district is doing. We're there for you, the professional leaders, and the professional leader, and understanding how do you go about building a healthy relationship between you and your staff. How do you go about the hiring and firing process? How do you build your leadership team at that school to get the kind of results you need to be successful and produce academic results for your district and for your kids? Kids deserve a great education. That won't occur if the environment is not conducive to that. And that's the job of the principal. And a lot of folks really struggle in that. Why? Because it's hard. Why? So much trauma. Why? The trauma is influencing the behavior, and the behavior is really a struggle. So you need guidance and help. If you're a person who listen, you will just benefit from the resource, benefit from the extra support, this is the program for you. It is a one-time fee. It is for the entire year. Our registration cutoff date, I believe, is at the end of July. We start immediately in August, and you start getting this kind of content. Always talking to my folks, always texting my folks, always sending messages, video links, things that I do myself. You obviously get access to all my books. I send you books, and always available for you. I have found out that as a superintendent, as a school board, as a principal, as a teacher, you become who you listen to. And I have prided myself on being a trusted source of advice, and the relationships I have speak to that. And that's just something I'm proud of. And they happen organically. They happen by the connection that we build from when we meet each other, when you come to a training, when you gain access to the wisdom and the knowledge. And that's something that I'm very, very proud of. There are only under 50 slots available. I do know probably right now that half are already committed. If you know that's something you need, I would love to work with you. I would love to partner with you, and I would love to help you in building your career, building your school, and putting your career in a phenomenal place, and putting your building in a phenomenal place. And always remember, as you get good, all the successes you have, the goal of a principal is to build on that success and always put yourself in position where you're always easily promoted, not disgracefully promoted. You're not leaving as a disgraced principal going to central office. You're leaving as a dean of principals that all your colleagues look up to and seek for guidance. All the information is below. It's going to be a great 2023-24. And I'm really looking forward to working with you and helping you to achieve all your goals and achieve your highest level of leadership. I'm looking forward to working with you soon. I'll see you in class.